ReverendCrystalCox, Universal Church of Light, Goddess Church. And we're going to talk some more about monogamy, non-monogamy, and I had interviewed some people, and I'm going to tell you some things they said, and then, ad lib. If you're not drinking out of copper, drink out of copper. Why? Google the benefits of drinking out of copper. Crystal, you're boring me to tears. I know, right? But anyone subscribing to this channel, I've probably bored you to tears many times. Okay, what is an open relationship to you? This is what I ask the people. Have you ever been in an open relationship? If so, what was the pros and cons? If not, would you consider an open relationship with someone? No, I don't smoke cigarettes. Who asked that? Well, somebody probably did. Okay, yes, I smoked the dubes, but like not much. No. Now who are you talking to? Look what you made me do. That entity talking to me made me make the words too big. Okay. Okay, so this woman said, I'm polyamorous. Was introduced to it 5 years ago when my nesting partner, I learned a lot of new terms, and I were still flirting. Okay, so having a partner that you like to nest with, cuddle with, that you have things in common with at the home, maybe gardens, the same belief system about health and food, and your nesting partner that you would be able to have a lifestyle with. Okay, so that time they were still flirting. Okay, it's been wonderful. I get to let each relationship come to its own conclusion instead of being forced to be defined by other relationships. They're calling that polyamorous. It has also allowed me to love freely, see the beauty in others who I may have dismissed otherwise as partners. And my own worth is no longer defined by my relationship status. So you can start to think of other people as partners too, being polyamorous, and you go, oh, so you can still have those trips to the coast, or those weekends to the snow, or those weekends to the heat, or each person might like something different, be good at something different, be naturally drawn towards something different, definitely have different looks and different energies that they bring to you, and so it really is good for your self-worth, but it's also good to put more things on the menu. Like say you only had 2 foods that you ate for your whole life, okay, and so you go and you sample other foods to get more on the menu of what you like. It's not about being a slut, but here's the thing: if you want to be a slut, that's a good thing. It's your body, do what you want. It's nobody's business. Allowed me to love freely and see the beauty in others. So we look down. So you might think, oh, they're really cool. They play the guitar, they're doing these beadwork. Oh, they're selling crystals, they're really cool. Oh, that guy's just complete different opposite ends of the spectrum of people you might be interested in, but you look down and look away because you don't want to make your lover mad or upset your lover, or you want to coddle their insecurities, so you don't even explore that side of yourself, which is the whole freaking point we came here to Earth, right? To experience Earth life. Okay. Additionally, I'm free to explore all aspects of me. If one partner isn't into it, another is. Same goes for my partners. I don't have to be everything to them, which takes a great burden off of me. Okay. This next lady said, something to maybe think about, and the significance of spiritual monogamy. Before highlighting monogamy as an important cornerstone of inner development, it is essential to pinpoint the most common barrier to it. The ego by nature is afraid of commitment. While it is able to remain committed toward a variety of pursuits, it only knows how to desire through anticipation, incapable of actually receiving the very thing it's driven to seek. Again, remember, these are comments that I solicited from different people. And this person goes on and says, when a spiritual being claims restriction or limitation in a committed relationship, many red flags are raised. If one feels stifled in a relationship, it may be time to leave that partnership and move on. If one is attracted to their partner, but also desires intimacy with others, it is a telltale sign of spiritual immaturity, attempting to hide in a tantric persona. Again, this is not my opinion. The ego can desire a variety of partners for a few key reasons. One reason is because new partners always offer the energy of contrast, which fills the ego with excitement, until the newness of such a connection begins to settle. Right, newness is always oh yes, it's new. But when you become complacent with your partner and there's never anything new, that's fucking dead man walking, right? Been there, done that, no thank you. Meeting new people that get you excited about new things is the point. It's not necessarily about the initial lust wearing off. It's all of it. And keep exploring new things. You know, why just go, oh, we're here and we got to stay here. Okay. From the viewpoint of ego, it must always seek fresh partners and new experiences on a habitual basis in order to keep the momentum of conditioning active. So this is kind of coming from an angle of like post-traumatic stress or whatever. Like, so if you want to be poly or open for reason to coddle your programs and triggers and all that, yeah, there are issues with that. But my idea of it is, I want to be sovereign. I am sovereign. I am sovereign. I am sovereign. I am 100% me, and I don't want to alter that by someone else's issues. Believe me, I got a lot of pushback on the different lesbian sites asking women this because they're very insecure. Anyway, from the viewpoint of ego, it must always seek fresh partners. Okay, otherwise the infrastructure of ego begins to implode as the light of realization unravels the ego through waves of boredom and depression. So they're coming from the angle of like, okay, well, your relationship gets boring, and so they all do. But if you're bored with your relationship, then you're bored with yourself. If you're bored in your relationship, then you don't know how to self-entertain. You don't know how to be alone, because it's about you being 100% you and being with someone else who's 100% them. If you're finding a relationship boring, maybe you're not being true to yourself. Or if you don't really enjoy visiting with them anymore, then don't visit with them anymore. But it's not about, oh, this is boring, so we're getting into the stage of doing the work, so I'm just going to move on. To me, it's not about that. Okay, simply put, the ego constantly seeks new intimate partners to avoid the unraveling caused by awakening, which often wells up inside us. We're not constantly exchanging old things for new experiences. So if you are trauma-based, if your programs are in charge, and if you want poly and open to coddle your programs, then that means you never want to go deep with someone. You don't really want to be awake. You don't want to... this isn't me, right? I focus on every trigger, every program, every trauma, to see how I can be my best me all the time. And in the beginning, maybe I wanted to be poly for that. I don't know. But now I want to be poly or open because unless I was with someone who really was completely highly sexually into me and was also sovereign and independent and not needy and, you know, taking care of their own stuff. Yeah, I'm open to at some point maybe being monogamous, and I probably will with my body, but I don't want to call it that. I just might be too busy to, you know, do everybody in town. But I want the freedom. I give myself freedom of being sovereign, and any new experiences I want to experience that and not filter through another human being because I didn't come here to do that. And so this person saying that the reason people want to be poly is because they want to keep moving to another partner so they don't have to face their shit. That's totally valid. But I want to be poly and open and face my shit, and I want my partner to face their shit. So it's not just about a bunch of superficial relationships. It's about deep, real relationships, but just more than one. And some surface ones too. But it's about being honest with who I am and not filtering that honesty through someone else's version of what it should look like. Okay, and she goes on to say, another reason ego desires multiple partners is because having more than one lover gives the ego something to manage. Right, and post-traumatic stress, you have all these things going on. Oh my gosh, you want to be attention? Oh, you don't want to pay attention to me today? Well, maybe you will. Maybe you'll like me today. Maybe you'll like me today. Oh my gosh. Right, so that is a way to avoid yourself. But if you're coming from a place of sovereignty and you know yourself and you're 100% you and you know what you like to do and who you are, then you're doing it from a place of having experiences as a whole person and seeking out other whole people. Or, just enjoying people where they are for what they are, but they're not like nesting partners. They're not like ones that you're committed to emotionally, spiritually, financially, sexually, have their back sort of deal. They're just people that you go and have some fucking fun with, travel, go do fun things if you want to. And then you have your main partner. But the real key to me is about knowing yourself and being yourself and never ever filtering your desires, your wants, your perversions, your interests, your curiosities through what someone else thinks they should be. Whether they're a lover, husband, wife, adult child, parent, whatever. That you never filter your truth through anyone else. Okay. Another reason ego desires multiple partners is because having more than one lover gives the ego... Okay, I already read that. Whether it's constantly making sure our chakras spin in a certain direction. This person's pretty dramatic, huh? Attempting to keep our vibration at a certain level, or even managing the needs and desires of multiple partners. Right, so that can keep you busy. So if you're managing everyone else's needs, then you can focus on that and you never have to face your own shit. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about each person being sovereign, responsible for their own programs, trauma, belief system, healthy, and or working towards all of that, and not just avoiding and not being so needy that the reason they want multiple partners or even one is because they want constant attention and validation to make themselves whole. That's not the kind of partners I'm talking about. Okay, because the ego cannot be permanently satisfied by the love of one, it attempts to raise the stakes by creating scenarios where it is adored by more than one. Right, because the ego of liking to be adored by all these people, and that can become addictive and all of that. But for me, it's not about being satisfied by the one. I'm the one. I'm God. I'm a creator God. I create my reality. I'm responsible for my reality. I'm responsible for every thought, every program, and every belief system. And that became massively important to me when I realized that I'd experienced what they call the Mandela Effect, which was a massive shift in reality. I come from somewhere where the sun was yellow, the sun's white now, and hundreds of these. I shifted to another reality. So I realized that in that, I have got to go over every single thought and every program and perfect myself to move to the reality that I want. Because we're shifting realities all the time, either based on unconscious beliefs or conscious beliefs. So she's saying that you can't be satisfied by the love of one. I'm saying that there's no way that I want to be satisfied by one lover. I want to satisfy myself in every way. Okay? We came here to master our emotions, and when we cross over, we take that with us. There's no such thing as death. Our consciousness moves on. So what we master here is what we move on with. And so it's not about one person satisfying me. I mean, come on. I am multidimensional. I like no less than 100 topics a day. I've studied thousands of different genres of things. I love all this stuff. So a lot of people are not as intense as me. So I'll find people to talk about different genres, but not all of it. So I'm supposed to settle. So if I know 1,000 topics, I'm supposed to settle for talking about one for the rest of my life, and I'm supposed to be like, okay, I'm satisfying. To me, it's nothing to do with someone else satisfying me. It's about me satisfying me. We're quantum. We create our own reality. Okay, this lady goes on. Thank God I'm not dating her, I'll tell you what. Some woman on one of the lesbian sites said I'd interviewed a bunch of people. Okay. Despite the ego's shortcomings of never having the capacity to receive the intimacy it seeks, as it integrates into the maturity of our awakening soul, we develop the capacity and worthiness to receive the fullness of love as expressed from the intimacy of another. I'm coming from the angle that I'm responsible for my intimacy to myself, and that what I want to experience in others is what they joyfully and divinely and authentically have to offer me, and what they want to experience. I don't want another to fulfill me, and I don't need the intimacy of a lover to be all that to me that's an inside job. This person here is like putting everything on other people. Granted, if you want to be poly or open because you cannot handle emotional maturity, that's a whole different aspect. I kind of agree with that. But that's not my realm. That's not what I'm talking about, teaching or seeking. Yeah. Okay, whether we're meant to give our love to one soulmate through our lives or a few key lovers to be encountered at various stages, the importance of monogamy highlights the essence of spiritual expansion. Monogamy is our ability to be fully present in our current relationship as a way of unearthing the most fulfilling experiences each partner is meant to provide. While you may or may not be destined to be together forever, why not give it your full effort if choosing the beloved that has chosen you? Let's see, where did I put my notes here? I feel like my full effort is on me. Yes, something to be said, immerse in one. Thing is, I want that one to be me. And it took 50 years to get there to loving me that much. So, right. Be like, okay, well, let's move from monogamy to monogamy to monogamy. We'll go deep with the person. We'll learn a bunch about ourselves. But when you are traumatized as a child, as I was, and you have programs and triggers that you're working through, when you latch onto someone, it might not be that. It might not be like, okay, we're going to be all alone. This could be great. No, you latch on and you're stuck, okay, for years. I did this in my first few relationships because you think it's what you want. So not necessarily didn't have writing in common, didn't have spiritual stuff in common, didn't have sexuality in common, didn't have diet in common, had, just completely lived a different version of me, but didn't want to leave it. And let's see, I was fully present. I was locked in, tied in, I wasn't free to be me, and I did that to myself. But I don't think, she's saying that if you dive all into this monogamy and be in this relationship, and then when that relationship's done, move on to another one, and do that. I think that you don't leave people behind. If you're really in love with someone and they're part of your family and your intimacy, and you've transitioned out of sexual connection, so what? They're still your intimate partner. They're still your partner, and you have another partner, okay? And you're all a family, and you watch out for each other. I'm not saying that all the parties have to like each other or be friends, but be respectful and have each other's back. And it's not for one person to provide everything. And I don't think that just love them and leave them doesn't work for me. I mean, I was never like that. I tried to move on with taking people with me as family until it wasn't healthy for me anymore, or they were verbally or emotionally abusive to me, and then I would cut that off. But right now, thinking about, okay, well, no, I'm just going to get with one person and I'm going to focus there. And it's really kind of dumbing down, because I'm multidimensional. Like, I can go all these different directions. I don't want to be in a relationship with one person where they're expecting me to be a certain version of me continuing forward. To me, it's not really about whether I choose to be sexual with more than one person. It's about that ownership and those filters and those programs that come in with monogamy. And like I said, for someone who had the childhood trauma that I had, to go into one relationship and be fully present and then go into another one, it wasn't really an option until I'd healed. And then, decades pass. It's just obviously me just rambling. Of course, it's my rambling channel. I think this woman goes on. So let's read some more of this. Nothing like reading an opinion opposite of yours, right? But I'm just exploring it. Okay. While the committed phobic ego desires the idea of relationship, it is only the soul that benefits from the sacred union shared between two hearts. It's also you create worlds, and you heal your family line. You heal your ancestral line with everything you heal. You heal your daughter's daughter, all the way that line, and all the way blah, blah, blah. When rooted in the soul, two hearts activate the evolution of the other. If incubating an ego, a relationship becomes a means through which conditioning is unraveled by the adversaries each partner encounters. Okay, so I'm not responsible for my partner, and that's what New Earth relationships are about to me, is each person taking responsibility for themselves. So if I'm incubating my ego or whatever in this other person, and that's not the kind of relationship I'm talking about. Again, my thing is everybody being 100% true to themselves. Okay, so it says, while traditional vows suggest till death do us part, right, but you die. You die in that relationship because you want to be sexual, you want to be something else, but you love that person too much to leave them. So you kill a part of yourself to be with that person. Okay, while traditional marriage vow, okay, this means we allow our monogamous relationships to be the sacred space where we put our deepest insights into practice. That might be good. And someone who's highly evolved and highly consciousness, and maybe that works. It's not something that ever worked for me. Because once they had me as monogamy or married up, then they wanted me to be their version of me. And inevitably, every frickin' time, there stopped being sexual connection after like a year or two. But then the relationship went on. But the only reason I'm with another person is for that connection as a lover. Because I got everything else myself. And so, yes, it's a sacred space to work on stuff, but why can't we call that an intimate friendship and still be allowed to let ourselves explore our sexuality without taboo? Okay, this means we allow our monogamous relationships, okay, unconditionally. There's not anything unconditional about this, like what you're saying there, lady. Okay, to blossom, but how unconditionally we embrace the heart of our beloved. Oh my God. But you don't. You have conditions. The condition is they be monogamous. They be 100% present with you all the time. This is me telling her. But then you're not. If you're 100% present with someone else and their needs all the time, you're not 100% present with you. Okay? We don't need other people much as we need ourselves. Okay? The notion that monogamy strips away one's innate sense of freedom is a belief created by a fear of commitment. I don't have a fear of commitment. I have had a fear of losing myself in relationships because of the programs and things. Committing to people and things. I'm a dog in Chinese astrology. I definitely commit to people, and I'm good to people. Monogamy doesn't strip away my freedom. Be like, oh, I'm still free to do whatever I want. What monogamy and a marriage license and all of that does with all of those rules in place is it puts a filter over everything. What are we having for dinner? Where are we going? What am I wearing? What does my hair look like? Where are we going to live? What are we going to... You filter every single thing you do all day, whether you know it or not, through what your partner might think of it. Yeah, it's a program. But for me, I haven't worked through all of those, even now. And through relationships over decades, I hadn't. So I wasn't thinking that monogamy is going to strip my freedom. I believe that there is absolutely no way to be 100% true yourself and say, we're monogamous and that's it, and you got to stick to that or I'm out of here. That's not real. That's not true. So if you love someone else, I don't love you anymore. If you see a nice ass and you're like, oh my God, or you want to go around the corner with him, I don't love you anymore. So it's the lie, because I still love you even if you want that. So to me, it's about the truth of the lie and not about, While the ego loves exploring options, it has little to no capacity to stand behind a decision. This is because once an option or partner has been chosen, the ego must now shift out of fantasy of partnership and into the reality of relationship building. So this is kind of the concept of a relationship takes work. So we got to build this relationship, okay? We're in fucking New Earth, man, okay? The only relationship that you should give a fucking shit about is yourself. Excuse my language. We are quantum. We create reality every second of every day based on our thoughts and belief systems. Literally. Okay? The double split theory, where an observer's in the room changes the room. The Emoto water experiments, your focus changes the chemical makeup of water. Okay? If you study stuff about the Mandela Effect, you know that massive astrology, body changes, we've moved realities. We were on the Sagittarius arm. We're now on the Orion arm in those Where Are You in the Universe maps. So we shift worlds and realities. Whole buildings can just appear the next day. We can shift these worlds based on our belief system. Okay? So for me to go, okay, well, I'm going to be working on this, I'm going to dig into this partner and I'm going to be working on this relationship. I'm not working on me. I'm not working on every program, every trigger, everything with me if I'm constantly filtering it through what that person's trauma is, their childhood trauma, their opinion of me, what they want for dinner. And I'm not saying don't have nice dinners and stuff. I'm saying if you can't 100% be sovereign to where you're like, anyway, I don't think, so this again saying, this is because once an option of or partner is chosen, the ego must now shift out of fantasy. Okay? But your fantasy is what creates worlds, and that's where you really want to be, and you keep creating that. If you settle for this reality, you know, listen to Abraham Hicks of like, there's no such thing as, you know, what is. Don't focus on what is, focus on what you want to create. And the reality of relationship building. If you have to work every day on building your relationship, it's not fun. It's not your highest excitement. It's not leading to the reality that is of your highest and best good. I didn't mean to have the whole video be on this one woman's comment, but anyway. Okay, so relationship building, to me, build a relationship with yourself. Every thought that comes into mind, what's going on? What's the belief? Every emotion that you have, what must I believe to be feeling this emotion? And I do the EFT tapping points. If you don't know that, Google EFT and what that is. And I say, what must I believe? So if I'm really sad right now, or jealous, or feeling a certain emotion, what must I believe? Well, I must believe. And then you identify the belief system. So you bring it from the unconscious to the conscious. Because we create reality by our belief systems. We either do it by unconscious beliefs from our ancestors or by conscious beliefs. So once we make it conscious, like, okay, well, I must believe this or I wouldn't feel this way. So all you have to do is identify it. And if you have to build a relationship with someone, fuck yourself right off. Just like, be like, I'm fucking off now. Right? Because if you were naturally having fun with someone and enjoying them, you wouldn't have to work at it. Okay. It is where the importance of compromise and considering someone else's experience begins to unravel the self-absorbed pattern of human conditioning. I'm going to stop this video after this comment. I had someone I'm spiritually advising asked me once, at what point in the relationship do you compromise? So at what point do you be like, okay, well, they need monogamy, so I'm going to be monogamous. Or, you know, they need us to, you know, be vegan, so I'm going to be vegan. Or, okay, well, they need me to not do this or to do this, and at what point do I compromise? And I said, never. Not once. The minute you compromise your truth to be with someone else and start your relationship building, that's the minute that you change reality. That's the minute you become their version of you. And odds are you expect the same from them, so you both become the monster. So you become someone else that neither one of you are. So you never ever compromise. And I don't mean like, okay, sometimes you go to where they want to go for dinner, sometimes you go to where you want. To me, that's not a compromise. That's enjoying something that they like and enjoying something that they like. Okay? You got restaurant A that so-and-so likes, restaurant B, okay, the girl likes restaurant A, the guy likes restaurant B. Okay? So they go to restaurant C where they can get something of both. Right? But instead, if the guy goes and joins her at her restaurant, oh, I enjoy this, oh, I can see how you enjoy this place, oh, I like this about her, I don't like that, or, you know, that, and then she goes to his restaurant, and oh, that's not a compromise. That's enjoying things that each other enjoys. The compromise is the one that's not the version of either one of you. Right? And that's why I say never compromise, because if you compromise your truth, you're creating a reality that's not true to you. I'm going to finish this woman's comments in part 2 and other people's comments. I didn't realize her comment went on and that I was going to be so like, well, not agree with it. Anyway, bye-bye. Stay tuned for part 2. It's so exciting.